just a question. You mentioned beforehand that you're third generation atheist, and when I listen to yourself and Antony, I hear about religion, but there was something that sparked with me, and that is, have you actually read what Christ said, as opposed to what religion is talking about?
Thank you for that question.
Me or Antony or both?
I have. I mean, actually, when I was at school, I went to an Anglican school in Melbourne. I didn't go to a Jewish school because my parents thought the Jewish school would be far too narrow in education, ironically, and then wondered why I was only dating non-Jewish girls. Can't imagine why. But anyway, yes. But I found this ironic at the time, as my parents did, that I was often the top of my religious class at school. This, of course, was an Anglican school, and I ended up being in the school choir, which makes no sense to me now whatsoever, because I was singing about Jesus, which was odd, seeing I wasn't Christian. But putting that issue aside, I think, yes, I mean, have I read everything that in the Bible? No, I've read quite a bit of it. And yes, a lot of the things that Jesus and that is in the Bible, I guess you could frame as generic good things that most people would want to support or believe. A lot of the 10 Commandments are pretty, don't murder people, quite good.
The last 5 are all right. The first 5 are all about don't worship anyone but me.
Yeah, I mean, like some of them aren't that fantastic, frankly. And I think there is a sense that, and this I think is one of the things that many people who have faith need to accept, and some do more than others, that institutional religions, and obviously we can always use the example of the Vatican and the Catholic Church, has done such unbelievable damage to the brand, so to speak, and yet despite that, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, I could argue that Israel has done amazingly bad damage to Judaism, in my view, that without a reckoning and a serious discussion and pressure to change that, this sort of attitude in the West will continue to fray. I mean, there's no other way that it can go. I mean, one looks at in the last years with the sexual abuse issues in the Catholic Church, the figures in the West of people's interest in the church is diving. It's diving.
And yet, in Simon's article in the Sydney Morning Herald yesterday, he was quoted as the 2009 Harold Nielsen poll said that 60% believe in God and miracles.
That's different.
So it is,
yes,
as far as church attendance versus those who believe, and I guess that's why we're having this kind of discussion. Now, we're needing to wrap up very quickly, but Jane, did you want to respond to this question?
I haven't, and I haven't read the Koran, and I haven't read any of the other holy books. That wasn't part of my upbringing. I certainly have been exposed to some of Christ's sayings and the stories and things through the culture, because of course Western culture is embedded with it. But I would see it as in a way unfair of me to just read what Christ said. If I was really going to get into looking at this, I would have to read all the holy books, and quite frankly, my spirit quails at the idea.
Simon, we are at the point where we do need to wrap up, because unfortunately we don't have enough time to keep talking for another 2 hours, which I'd love to do. But I thought what might be helpful, just to wrap up this part, is to say, look, 30 seconds from each of you, your response to the statement today, imagine no religion, would we be better off? Antony.
I think the world may well not be better off if there was no religion, because it's so embedded within our culture. So if we suddenly turn the tap off tomorrow, there could be mass chaos, maybe not. To me, though, in a personal sense, I think that one of the great tragedies of the last century has been how Israel, Judaism and Zionism have become one for many Jews, and therefore that's manifested itself in a situation where many Jews support hideous human rights abuses as a Jew. And if you speak out against that as a Jew, you are called as a bad Jew, you're a non-Jew, whatever. That, to me, as an atheist Jew, is one of the tragedies of our age, particularly what happened to Jews during the Nazi period. So that, to me, is a reason why I constantly say that Judaism and Zionism must be separated for Judaism to have any chance, even as a cultural sense, to thrive. Otherwise, I think we're going down the path what we're seeing now in Israel, where, for example, you have occupation, but also increasing, there's separate buses now in the main part of Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, where men and women are at separate parts of the bus. This is a democracy, supposedly. Men at the front, women at the back. These are Jews. I mean, I'll leave you with that.
So I guess, we need to be a little more careful rather than just a broad brush religion, yes or no.
Yes.
Yeah. Simon?
Yeah, we've been speaking in very broad terms, appropriately, but I guess I'd keep coming back to, at a more personal level, what I observe and again from a Christian perspective, but what I observe around me and what I read, but the people, say for instance in my own church, people who are in community with me who might be battling addictions of various kinds and finding slowly a way forward in that, finding families that are being healed, where there have been broken relationships, people who were mean-spirited and are slowly becoming slightly better people, those sorts of things. And I think of my friends who left a very prosperous situation in Northern Ireland, people I was studying with overseas, and went to South Africa to live with and care for children in a hospital who are burns victims. They've adopted 3 of the children themselves. They do this, these particular people do this entirely out of a worldview that includes God at the centre of it as love, who they feel is calling them to do that sort of thing. And they do it joyfully, which is a great encouragement, I guess. And so would the world be better off without that? I'd say definitely not.
Jane, your response to this statement?
Without religion, better off, yes. Faith, on the other hand, different thing. That's up to each person, and I'm not a banner. I don't want to get, what was Elizabeth I said? She doesn't want to make windows into men's souls. She was one of the first smart women, and smart leaders. And I think I always, again, I'll be personal. I live in a world which is more or less without religion. When asked to do this, I thought about, who do I know who's really devoutly religious? And I worked out, I had 2 friends who are quite devout, and they're lovely people and terrific, but no one in my family has any religion at all. No one in my extended family has any religion at all. And I was thinking about what they do. Relationships counsellor, deputy principal of an underprivileged public high school, social worker with DOCS, probation officer, equal employment opportunity officer with the BBC. These are atheists who are going out there and doing...
I hope you don't hear me saying that you don't...
No, but what I'm saying is, I don't think that's about religion. I don't think it's about atheism. I think it's about people being good people and wanting to help other people from a sense of compassion and, to use a religious phrase, there but for the grace of God go I. I'm the black sheep. I've spent 30 odd years in advertising, so I can't really preach anything to anybody.
Would you please thank our panellists today?